Example 3. How we use blended learning. Targeting specific skills. Actively engaging and motivating students. Providing a resource. Interviewing and communication skills for lawyers. Prior to the first interviewing class. Communication theory and activities with automatic feedback are assigned from the website. Students can browse the table of contents to pick out specific skills to practice. The online activities use a variety of text and photos with and without audio to add realism, intensity, and emotion. The first class. Interview demonstration. The lost contract and the burst pipe. The class begins with a general discussion on an interview's purpose, structure, and required skills. The lost contract and the burst pipe is a stop-and-go interview demonstration in which a tenant tells a lawyer about damages to the tenant's property, withholding rent because of poor conditions, a no pets clause, and a lease which claims the apartment is rented as is. The interview periodically stops to allow students to answer written questions. Online readings on landlord-tenant law provide subject matter background for this in-class activity. After the first class, students use the theory section of the online interview module for an overview of the interviewing process. Practice cycles briefly introduce a theoretical concept immediately followed by a Your Turn application exercise. Formative feedback is provided in the form of a sample response that helps the students determine if they have mastered the targeted objective. The communication skills unit can be reviewed for skills students realize they need to practice more. Second interview class. The class discusses the structure of the interview and the pre- and post-lawyer interviewing tasks. Students pair up with a partner and practice interviewing basics using short fact patterns. Online. Students do the online interview activity, which presents a new client case study involving bailment, contracts, and assault. Students conduct a virtual interview, going through each stage in an initial interview. Students develop different types of questions to obtain accurate and complete information, identify client interests, build a good rapport. Students compare the questions that they develop and the client's responses to them to sample questions and responses. They read and hear other examples of lawyer interviewing techniques. They are asked to periodically summarize client information and analyze the interests and positions of the client and other parties. Further reflection questions are included online to raise professional responsibility and ethics issues. For example, in one case study, the client, David Marina, asks, "Can I threaten to press criminal charges against Paul for assault?" The learner is then asked, "What issues does this raise for you?" The client interview. A full-length interview of an upper year student client is the final exercise in the interviewing unit. This creates high expectations. Students are actively engaged in their learning and highly motivated to be competent in front of their peers. Students interview an upper year student who is taking an advanced dispute resolution practicum course. The interview is observed by a second practicum student responsible for taking notes and leading a debrief session. The practicum student observers have a chart to record observation notes and an interview debrief guide with examples of prompting and reflection questions to stimulate discussion. Later on in the term, students meet with their upper year client to prepare and then negotiate a resolution to the dispute. Students prepare a post-interview memo to the file, including a concise overview of the client's purpose for consulting the lawyer, the basic facts, preliminary problem identification, a fact chronology, a brief summary of the legal issues presented, summary conclusions, recommendations, next steps. Together, the activities consolidate interest analysis studied in an earlier unit. Ethical and professional responsibility issues are embedded throughout.